and he claimed our caps on mains. You jumped, never asking why. You logged and said under your breath it was a loss no one could deny. Don't you ever say goons just run away. We will always fight you. Your leaders always lie, spinning like a top. We will always fight you. Goons came in like a wrecking ball. We never hit F1 so hard. All they wanted was to break our walls. All we ever did was wreck legacy. Yeah, we wrecked legacy. We put fighters high up in space, and now you're not logging in. It slowly turned you, let me burn, and now we're ashes on the ground. Don't you ever say goons just run away. We will always fight you. Leaders always lie, spinning like a top. We will always fight you. Goons came in like a wrecking ball. We never hit F1 so hard. All they wanted was to break our walls. All we ever did was wreck legacy. Goons came in like a wrecking ball. We never hit F1 so hard. All they wanted was to break our walls. All we ever did was wreck legacy. Yeah, we wrecked legacy. You thought you'd win this war. We just wanted you to fight us. And instead of logging in, I guess we should have let you win. You thought you'd win this war. We just wanted you to fight us. I guess we should have let you in. Don't you ever say goons just run away. We will always fight you. Goons came in like a wrecking ball. We never hit F1 so hard. All they wanted was to break our walls. All we ever did was wreck legacy. Goons came in like a wrecking ball. Yeah, we just closed our eyes and swung. Left happy crashing in a blazing roar. All we ever did was wreck legacy. Yeah, we wrecked legacy. Yeah, we wrecked legacy.
No. Hey, Eric is not muted anymore. Or is this Yo started?
Yay, we're on. We're live.
Are we
Live?
Well,
I don't hear Eric talking. Normally he's talking.
He doesn't talk. Usually he starts in the middle of some weird discussion about
Yeah, I know. We'll try and let you do that, but you didn't really do it.
I just did it.
Well, and we were talking about the swell voice of Moomin and etc. That's why I came here, because you said Moomin was on the show. So that's why I said hi, because Moomin is amazing.
He is. So, hey, welcome everybody. We got lots of special guests here today. We got Apple Pear, as you just heard. Arendis is lurking in the background there somewhere. And we have...
I'm not lurking. I just, didn't want to interrupt Dawn getting to talk about penises.
Dawn was talking about penises?
Well, she was starting to, and then you started talking about how we were talking about penises.
So you're all like, oh, we're going to talk about penises now. And then all of a sudden it's like,
I was
Eric's starting the show, we can't talk now.
She wouldn't start talking about Eve.
You got to ping me on these things, We got to let this stuff happen naturally.
How else is she going to make $400 with a single video?
Shut up! Oh, that's funny though. Sometimes the unscripted moments are the best.
Hmm.
Where you're just like,
Are we too loud for all of you? I can turn it down a little bit here. There we go. We turn it down a little bit. I'm over modulating.
So I'm adding unscripted amateur tags to your video now, Don.
People actually think that I actually change something between shows. I don't change anything.
no, Eric doesn't look at the settings on this thing till about 30 minutes prior to the show.
No, you don't understand. We start bullshitting 30 minutes prior to the show, and then we start doing shit like 10 minutes before the show.
Hold on, what's going on here? Why have you nagged me to update an avatar, and then I'm looking at the stream and I have no avatar? What's going on?
I didn't, I didn't get everything done. I don't have one for Apple Pair or Horrendous either. I'm sorry.
It shows up when you talk.
We'll get you one.
So just keep talking.
You got to be here for 2 or 3 shows to get a damn avatar. That's the way it works.
Well, is this one of these like low effort shows? Talking
Low.
was on about.
There is so little effort. You guys are lucky I'm here today.
This is a freaking no effort show.
Mrs.
Or
Asbach was a challenge yesterday.
Or
right.
it's a what did Ron call it? A pony show?
Ron called us a pony show?
Oh,
Is
good.
that another
No,
video?
Dog and pony show? Are we a dog and
called-
pony show?
Yeah, he called Brisk a dog and pony show.
But
He was trying to be nice.
Yeah,
He was trying to
because-
make fun of Brisk
Here's,
for being
here's
a
the
hot
thing.
dog.
Here's the thing.
We're not going to talk about the CSM, huh?
We're not talking about the CSM.
No.
I just want to put out there, if you are a fucking streamer and have the whole setup, right, and you are applying for something and you can't even be fucked to turn your camera on for it, then
Hey,
are you
not
going to
everybody
put
likes being
more
on
effort
camera.
in it when you have the job? Because that's not a good sign.
Not
Look,
everybody likes
as
being
far
on
as-
camera.
As far as Ron calling anybody a dog and pony show goes, all right. Ron invests how much time every week in desperately trying to get attention? He wants people to look at him. Well, not look at him because it isn't his camera that I'm given to understand. But he wants people to pay attention to him. He wants people to tune in to him. Honestly, I'm sorry about anybody who actually takes this advice, Eric. I'm not apologizing to the people. I'm apologizing to you. But if everybody here just turned off the stream, I wouldn't give a shit.
No, I'm just here to talk to you
not
guys.
I'm not here for you people to pay attention to me. I'm here because I like the sound of my own fucking voice. This is pure
Oh,
error.
come on.
Golf clapper. Everybody, move around. There we go.
Really horrendous. You're starting to sound
I'm just-
Spotlight Ranger. You really are.
We have nothing but fun
I'm
here,
just here
folks.
because I like Moon.
I don't sound like Ranger. He and I sound completely different.
No, Spotlight Ranger, completely different.
Is it? How much
Anyway,
you get
so
out?
come
I
on.
know that
We're
person.
all here. Yeah, we've been in a war. It's almost been a year. And
wait,
everyone
no
has
Eve
been
until-
talking shit about stuff. So, are we allowed to talk about Eve at the moment?
Okay, let me set the parameters of the show. Anytime Apple Pear's on the show, we're only allowed to talk about things that Apple Pear wants to talk about. So you have to
Is
ask
that
him.
what it is now?
That's the rules. We got rules here.
Okay.
Also,
What have you paid you for that?
All right, Apple Pear, your choice.
And how much did Dirk pay for his set of rules?
What are Dirk has rules?
Dirk's rules, no Eve for the first 20 minutes of the show.
Oh.
Oh no! I just hate CSM to talk, etc. We talk about it way too much. So as long as we don't talk about the CSM, I'm already happy.
There we go. There we
Can
go.
we talk about pool parties? About pool streams though.
What are the pool streams?
Hot tub.
We
Top
did that
Meadows.
last week.
Can we talk about hot tub streams though?
Hot tub
did
streams?
hot
No,
tub last
I
week.
banned
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Because
no.
unfortunately,
Wow.
that might end up also going into the realms of CSM because we'll be talking about Brisk. But that shall be the if that's not on the cards, Apple Pear, then that'll be the last I talk about it.
There you go.
the only thing that I've seen spin that wheel again.
I'm kind of mad that
It was funny to see that hot tub thing was funny to see. Yeah.
I fucking laughed about it.
I'm mad that it didn't
they're
come
pretty
up
dope.
during Anger Games, because then I would have had McCloud like put CCP chair in a hot tub.
Blazing Bunny says that they're fantastic and they're easy to set up. So I'm now tempted to just put one in my living room.
You just have to be, completely fine with just, jumping into a pool while still closed.
Eric, you should put that picture that we have in staff chat actually up on the screen. I think we are somehow we're kind of contractually obliged to have that on screen. The one that we've actually posted, because that's the best one, because it doubles down on the kink. It's both a hot tub meta and it's a featured thread.
It's in the
it's in stuff only.
It's right at the bottom.
The thing I loved about that interview as well is that Brisk's son kind of like photobombed him.
Oh yeah, that was funny to see.
God damn it, Jesus Christ.
There we go. There you go. Try that one. All right, well.
Oh, fucking open it up then.
Yeah, click on it. See what happens.
Open it up in like fucking Chrome or whatever.
Oh.
Jesus fucking.
What
This
on
is
earth
unable
is
to
up
copy
with your
images.
setting?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see what that's.
No,
Also,
the image.
Eric's apparently muted.
Oh, I hear him.
No,
Yeah, but
you know
apparently
what?
on-
When I do certain things in Discord, it mutes me on the stream. So.
Oh, okay.
See, Soth's.
Yeah.
Soth's.
Soth
No, Soth or Seal. Not Sort or Seal.
I had to
I'll get
employ
that.
some trickery there, though.
Did you screen grab it?
What are we saying? It's time for a name change?
It should remain Soth or Seal in honor of the Angler Games.
No, it's Sort or Seal.
I just call him Salt.
There you go.
So if you haven't noticed, my Discord picture is a sloth that I took in Costa Rica. I was about 2 feet from it and went snap.
You took the sloth.
Did it?
Wow, you managed
Did it try and chase you down?
Of a sloth?
What's that? Yeah.
Congratulations.
But I was in I had to go to Costa Rica to get it. Okay. This is on a.
Did you bring it back with you?
No, they wouldn't let me.
Why not?
Because the
You could have fitted at least one in the bag.
They need to stay home. I don't take animals away from their natural habitats.
Well, it's not like they can move quick, is it? They want to go, but they just can't move.
Exactly.
I'm just upset that my animated Discord logo isn't working on stream.
Now I understand why Slaughtersill likes the Mackerel, because it goes fast, unlike himself.
So, Dawn, since you like sloths so much, is that why this war is progressing at the speed it is?
No, I already told, as we talked earlier, I am the military genius behind all of the good plans that they come up with. And
no, we can't talk about this yet, can we?
No, it's 14 minutes past. It's not time yet.
Oh, what?
You can't be a military.
Curb yourself, Dawn. I know that you're excited to be kind of like,
curb your enthusiasm for talking.
Stroke her ego.
I mean, we can talk about different things, like if you guys really want to buy some PlayStation games, some of them are like on sale up to 75% off right now.
Is that the PlayStation 5 games that we can't play yet?
Also PlayStation 4 games.
I got a 5G upgrade recently.
Yay, you got poked. I'm getting poked Friday.
You guys all know I've already been poked.
I probably won't get poked for like a month. just slow here.
Ashtaroti is saying Among Us is free on Epic, but I still
It's
don't
Epic.
want to install that fucking launcher.
There we go.
It's fun.
I think they'll track you wherever you are, wherever your computer may be.
Just like Bill Gates.
No, Bill Gates injects people. It's a difference.
In a divorce at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah,
He
and
is.
now he can go through his 5G network to find.
It's
singles
like
on
if that divorce goes through, do we lose like half of our Windows display, like desktop?
Yes.
Is that how that works?
I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
So what you're saying is I'm down to
forgot.
2 screens?
Yeah, I'll be down to 1.
I'm
I'd
down
be at
to 2.
I'm down to 2 really big ones.
I don't know how people can play with like super Gigantamax screens. Like for watching videos and YouTube stuff, that's fine, but I just feel like at some point size becomes overwhelming.
Sorry,
that
what was that,
so?
Dawn?
That's what she
I
said
stand
last
by
night.
my statement
Well,
in
Dawn,
many facets.
$400 is $400, right?
I'm just saying, there's a certain limit to what's
absolutely.
doable.
How many times is it this week that she's done that?
So many times.
At this point, I think she's
The
done it on
comments, like,
purpose.
No, that one I kind of caught myself, and I was like, I'm just committing. Here we go.
Ah, fuck it.
Yes, that's what we're talking about, McCloud. Thanks
Exactly.
for pointing it out.
I thought it'd be blunt,
So here in the U.S., it's Memorial Day weekend, right? For all those who don't know, and so we got the flags up and everything. It's honoring veterans and all that stuff. So it's 56 degrees here this morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's
Going
that in
into
real
summer.
temperatures?
58.
You're
No,
all
those are real degrees. Get over it.
56 degrees.
Hold on, I need to get this right. You're all having a party for a bunch of people that can't turn up. Seems a bit mean to me. It seems a bit mean to have a party where the people you're having the party for can't turn up.
It's for their family.
Well, hold up though a second moment.
No, that's Fahrenheit.
Does that mean you don't believe in wakes?
What, from a ship? Yeah, they
No.
exist.
Well, I mean, they are turning up for that.
Are they? They're not necessarily always in the room.
Well,
I'll never finish my story.
Probably not.
Kind
No.
of. I kind of want. I want an English sky burial, where they just kind of like roll you into a gutter and you're eaten by rats, and then that's it.
Ooh. Sounds kind of weird.
Are we
The
being
fuck?
ignorant?
Anyway, so it's gonna be really cold, and this is like the weekend that all the pools are supposed to open outside here, right? So yeah,
Well, it was 82 degrees literally on like Wednesday.
I know, and now it's
Gotta love the
56.
Midwest. Just doesn't know what the fuck it wants to do ever.
I'm on the East
Oh
Coast,
no,
so yeah,
no. The weather is mocking you, Dawn.
mocking
Yes.
you.
I agree.
So I got these. So I had to get a new pair of golf shoes because my one's broke. So they got really cool ones because somebody said show your feet, right? And I was like, if I had my golf shoes on, this would be perfect, right? Because you raise up your feet, and the bottom of them of the golf shoes have the American flag. Pretty cool. I like it. So I'm very proud of my new golf shoes.
So every time you take a step, you're walking all over the American flag.
mhm.
Absolutely, and it's actually on the insole and everything too. Yep.
Not how you
It's not an actual flag; it's just a
There's
print.
something about
It's
that.
not the same. It's showing it.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not really symbolic. In fact, if I turn, I have a nice, really cool handmade wooden American flag that a friend of mine made for me on the wall behind me. Amazing. Then I have a nice picture over here to that side of the Capitol on the 4th of July. It's kind of cool. Old time.
You do know that all of that is keyed out, right?
Oh, that is what?
We can't see anything.
I know you can't see it. I'm just pointing. It's over there. It's over there.
Okay.
Oh, you're pointing. I thought you were dancing. Sorry.
Yeah. I hate where whoever has heat. It's terrible. It's freezing. I turned the heater on last night. It's terrible.
Yeah, I had to do that too. Literally sweating like crazy yesterday afternoon just because it was warm, and then literally like overnight just went dropped.
So it's much like Brisk's water wings. He's got in the picture there. I didn't actually. I'm like, oh, those are like little pillows or something, right? No, I'm looking at it like they're water wings, so he doesn't sink. That's hilarious. I love it.
It's a genius move. That's what it is.
Of course, does that qualify as CSM talk? Because
Brisk.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, good.
It was a rule. It was 20 minutes, wasn't it?
20 minutes. We're allowed to talk to you now.
Allowed now.
Okay.
Why do we even
So,
obey
Eric-
that rule when freaking Dirk's not here? Go ahead.
Eric, I got a question for you. You're near Pittsburgh, right?
Very close. Yes. Like,
So are you actually East Coast? Are you more Great Lakes Basin?
we kind of call ourselves East. We just do. We just say we're on the East.
I mean,
Coast.
you're
It's
on the
Pennsylvania.
west side of the mountains.
I know, and we don't really like Philadelphia, and we keep trying to call up New Jersey, and they keep saying no, we don't want Philadelphia either. So
Yeah.
I don't, it's very challenging, but we get so much good seafood here and everything. So we're just, it's an East Coast state, 13 colonies. We're over there, baby.
Is it true that the Penguins are the absolutely worst ice hockey team ever?
They are not, and Mario
They won a
Lemieux
lot,
is an
actually.
excellent person and individual. So is
They're on the
Sid.
like-
We love them all. They sucked it up a little bit here in the playoffs. But since you brought up sports, we really have to go to the Pittsburgh Pirates and that amazing play they had this week against, I believe, was it the Cubs? Who was it? I don't know. Did you guys see that?
No.
No.
And by the way, Otatop, there's an H on the end of Pittsburgh there. Thank you very much. And that Pittsburgh with the G is over in Kansas. But yes, we're not Midwest at all. And depending on whose marketing and sales slide you are, it depends. You could be, Northern Atlantic. There's all kinds of stuff. We consider ourselves kind of coastal.
Because, America went like halfway through the cities and then ran out of names.
Well, no,
what?
we stole all
No,
our
no,
names.
no,
stole
no.
names from Europe.
We ran out of names before we started.
Pittsburgh is named for William Pitt.
Pick the younger.
What?
Well, Pitt
It
the
just
Younger.
makes me think of Blackadder reference.
Yeah.
Pitt.
Pitt the Younger, Pitt the Even Younger, Pitt the Embryo,
Whichever you
Pitt
want,
the
man.
Glint in the Milkman's Eye. Like,
I'm gonna-
which Pitt?
I'll share the link for those who did not see this play this week. Okay. Yeah, when I go do things over in certain things in Windows, I have to figure out how it is. Anyway, enjoy that play. Pittsburgh Pirates really sucked it up there. So, yeah.
All right, now we can talk about the truthiness and the war and stuff. And
All right,
all
truthiness in the war.
fun.
I thought Moomin was going to talk about
Yeah, that's what I'm
the good
saying.
old times.
Oh, yeah, I thought that it would be quite nice to actually, and it's really nice that so many of you turned up as well from like the Casino War, but to do kind of like just a really quick tour from the Casino War through all of that kind of like history, very kind of like briefly up covering the events of the last year as well, up until where we are right now. And I thought it'd be quite nice to have a kind of sweeping kind of chat really with you guys. Horrendous, you were there. Apple, so you. Sothy is like, all of you pretty much. So, yeah.
So where are we going to start, Moment? You start off, and we will fill in bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, if you're happy with that, I mean, Eric, it's your show, sir. I will follow your lead.
Oh no, just go, man. That's how we roll here.
Okay,
We just
right.
take over. We just take over his show, and until
Yeah.
he says we cannot take over anymore.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. Once upon a time, there was a very fine group of people that rebranded to the Imperium, and we tried a book deal, and there was probably something about the Viceroy program that never came into effect, I hasten to add, before the nullsec groups all rose up in the Voltron that they were supposed to like form. So yeah, that's our kind of like starting point. And then from that, what happened?
Yeah, from that, yeah. Then they started attack SMA. I think this is like pushing SMA all the time, etc.
Yes.
I think that is the start.
Harassment and tossing SMA.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there a threesome somewhere?
Yeah,
well,
let's not talk about that.
Get into that whole mess. That was
no, that's not. No, that's just not something we.
I think someone else said that as well, didn't they? And that's
I mean, are you now trying to make more than $400 worth of video, Dawn?
Listen.
Is this on your OnlyFans? Is this on your OnlyFans site?
I don't have an OnlyFans with Brit Studs.
Anyway, so we're back in that kind of like period of time, and it's like the end of 2015, and it's coming through into the start of 2016. We had a whole bunch of kind of like people leaving at the tail end of 2015. Endy was one, Villy was another, Blarth was another. In fact, we lost the whole of BAT at that time as well, I seem to remember. And all of this was the precursor to the actual official start of the Casino War, which wasn't the name that the Imperium gave it. We actually had a name of the War of Sophilous Aggression, which was created by K-Color. And what a wonderful and witty name it was. Unfortunately, it didn't really sum up the whole theme of the war.
That's also a bit boring.
No, but the Master of Puns is very good at making witty names, etc. So yeah, we have to give it to them.
Oh, am I like, if I should go off track or I get anything wrong and I miss out any kind of like detail, please like chip in and correct me a little bit on this. So we've then got a situation of the low-sec Voltron people are nibbling away at SMA, and Theta went on a deployment at that time to go off and just deal with whatever was going on there. So we popped down there, stabilized everything within a week, I think it was. Basically, we just dropped capitals on anything that moved. And then stuff stopped. And then SMA went, no, you need to go away now, because obviously we were in Theta, so we started ratting in an SMA space, and they didn't like it, so they told us to go away. So we went away, and then low-sec Voltron went nibbling SMA again, and then everything snowballed after that, and at an amazing rate as well. We went from well, I don't know, does someone else want to talk about the betrayal of CO2, because that's relatively pivotal in all of this?
I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms.
That's much later. Like that's much later than they already. We lived in Saranen and at that point, and some groups.
No, we hadn't even gone to Saranen at that point.
Yeah. We lived in Saranen for a long time already. Before we
I thought it was March. It was something like about March, April that CO2 flipped, and at that point, that's when we went and said, no, literally just everything now in Saranen. It's not a case of, yeah, think about moving to Saranen. It's like, no, everything to Saranen.
I thought we already lived in Saranen at that point.
Nope.
Is it that? We were still in D2 at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
There was still, well, I'd come down on the deployment, but I was still up in Dew and MXX as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, because we had deployed earlier before like the war really started. We deployed to 3VA and later to DT Haas to take control of the R64s in Cloud Ring, and I'm starting to mine those and had some fights there with the people who live there. Was the culture, I think, was there with Ragnar Ball, etc. Yeah, that was the start of me really starting to FC and where and with the greatest fleet comp ever, ANIs. So just that everybody knows, ANIs for the win. And that was like a fun time. That was just before that, and then the Hell Casino War started, and then we went to Cernan and did Hurricanes, and then we took Delph.
Oh, come on now. That's like, compared to now, how would you say you feel? Like, this is very much like kind of like Sothy, Eric, and also Apple as well. How do you feel it was different in its kind of tone? Because back when we were in Saarinen, for starters, with the justification of the war, at that time, I had nothing. It's like I had nothing good really on the propaganda front. It was a case of like, well, what do I do? Is like, had we just like secured a massive like multi-year long deal with PAMFAM for the bot lord agreement, I seem to remember it was at that time, was all of Eve pretty stale and stagnant with all of the deals that were going on? Yes, it was. Did we deserve the kicking that we got? Probably.
So, from my point, both sides were way less stable back then. You had the betrayal of CO2. You had NC and PL pretty much shooting whoever they wanted. Then you had FCON, who really wanted to stay in Branch. I think it was Branch. That they wanted to defend instead of like getting everyone together in one place, so we would be one force. And you saw things like that left and right in that conflict, right, on both sides. Someone saying Razor was in the north too, but Razor also came down with fleets to Declan and Pure Blind every day to take part in fleets. FCON didn't, because FCON was useless. But you don't see that now. You got like one group here and there every now and then, like splitting off. But considering how long this war is going, if you look at how many member corps are actually leaving on each side, it's negligible, right? Also, I can't believe I actually pronounced that word.
Yeah, pretty well too.
I'm pretty shocked too. Yeah.
Negligible.
Yeah, for German.
I'll say squirrel.
Squirrel.
Natasha.
Been practicing.
Been
practicing.
But yeah, I think this war is so much different. It's like we had in that time we had much more agreements than we had now. Like everybody was annoying CD about the many agreements we had, like just before this war started. But we really had only one Diplo agreement, and that was the agreement with Tast with the NIP and the defense of boats. And then that's just the funny part I think about this is like when they got hit by PL, we came to their defense. We made sure. And then we took the North as a defense of their coming, and as thanks for that, they just join PL, and start shooting us, and that just feels so strange to me. There's probably on the background where I have no fucking clue what happened there. Happened lots of things and stuff, but that just surprises me. They really are like summer childs and where the winds goes. And see what we can do this time, etc. And that's.
So I have a question for you, FC kind of military chaps, and this includes you, Dawn. You have a chance. You have a chance to show your prowess here as well. Who won UALX?
Goonswarm.
Where UALX was an Imperium Legacy victory.
Yeah, that was it was around the time of X47. It was when Legacy afterwards ran a hell camp, and you can put air quotes around that, Brisk, if you want. And it lasted about a week or so.
So the preceding fight and the preceding sort of like conflict going on with that was basically Winter Coalition versus Legacy, and Winter was basically encroaching consistently on Legacy to the point where they were kind of getting fairly worried, but they redoubled their efforts and started kind of pushing back. Then it was at a stalemate at one particular point, right? And then all of a sudden, you kind of thought like, oh, where's this going to go? It was kind of like the immovable object versus the unstoppable force sort of thing, right? Then it was Winter Coalition basically bat-phoning and calling NC.PL, and obviously Pandemic Horde, and in response to that, the Imperium mobilized, to help Legacy, and that's where, and that kind of that basically fueled the situation that caused UALX.
And I seem to remember on the day that when we were charging down there, it was the fact that we had shield supers going.
Yeah, we had
across.
shields. No, we had shields at home, and we had armor fleet up north.
We had
and so
armor
we were moving our
fleet up.
armors down,
and it was the shock of the obviously the rest of Eve going, shit, they've got a shield and armor Titan fleet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the shield fleet jumped in, and then as everyone realized it was going to be a big deal, it was okay, bring the fucking armor fleet down.
We were already moving armor fleets. Like at that point, we were moving already the armor fleet up from up north down towards Test.
So was
and
NC.
also, and then C was at the same time.
Yeah,
NC at the same time was moving the armor fleet, and we were trying to waterboard both sides. We were trying to waterboard each other to make it as painful and as slowly as possible at that point. But that was really what was happening at that point. We were like zooming around as fast as possible. Luckily, we had our shield fleet there in time to assist Test and Legacy to hold off the first attack, what was there, and then the armor fleets were almost there and ready to jump in, I think, but at that point I was working, so don't know exactly, but I think the armor fleets were almost there, and then it really stopped and they didn't log in after downtime again. I think that was the case.
Armor got there, it jumped in, and the server crashed.
Yes.
Oh, was that the case? Okay.
Yeah, that was the server crash one.
We've had these kind of things before, just for a future referencing comment.
It was also the first time that a full super fleet has actually been tested in like a super cap fight as well.
Oh, what it was
because we were always wondering.
So I mean, just like harken back for like everyone else on like the stream. So we'd had the Casino War. We got absolutely kind of like smashed with Dirty Casino ISK, which was later banned from the game.
I'm sorry, but
finished.
Moomin, we didn't really get smashed because G-Soul actually went around and took down pretty much 90% of our assets.
Yeah, it was. But equally, if you were to look at it from the shape that we were at the time, we were a significantly different beast. We'd gone from about 30,000 characters down to about 15 at its lowest point in GSF alone. We'd obviously, we had no idea who our allies were necessarily at that time, unless they were like based out of Saradomin with us. And that was it. So we did get kind of truly duffed up in the Casino War. I think to say otherwise is not correct.
Yeah, and then we went to Delft with the
And who followed us down to
Esterhaus
Delft?
highway.
Yeah. Who followed us?
Fucking nobody.
Test. And Test followed us with the Macario fleet, and we camped them in for a week, and then they fucked off.
Well, Pickles came down like a month later. I really can't say that he.
Pickles
Yeah.
came down every
yeah.
now and then and got a bloody nose every time.
Like we'd already actually gotten established by the time he first decided, oh, we need to chase them.
And how did we invade Delft?
Didn't you guys just kind of turn up? And
Yeah,
that
we
was
just
it.
went in through sight, kicked down the doors, and went and said, "Sod off." And some people did, and some people didn't quite as much. But we had to be careful not to flag too quickly because we didn't want the rest of the Money Badger coalition coming after us.
If I remember correctly, NC was actually there contesting some of the timers. And there were also
some wormhole thing.
Yeah. And there were also those nasty 100 MN healers that it took us a few fights to figure out how to fight them.
Well, remember
Was that the
at the
German
time,
group running that?
Lumpy was actually holding a bunch of moons in trust for PanFam.
That was it. It was Lumpy.
That's why NC Dot kept showing up, because we were actually hitting their passive income that they were getting basically by threatening to come kill Lumpy. You know, you're going to run this stuff for us or else. And this is why passive income is bad.
But I mean,
half the freaking map away from their own space. So,
but it did cause conflict. So
no, it didn't. That's just it. Of course it didn't cause conflict. Because what happened was you had the big, powerful group of NC Dot and PanFam farming out the actual administration of these towers to smaller groups and saying, fine, you can take a cut, but you're going to give us the lion's share of it. And if you don't, then there will be conflict. But there was no actual conflict most of the time over that passive income because the little guys did what they were told.
I really have to stress Horrendous' point here with the fact that that's how the renting stuff all kind of goes through, like share operations. So you had XDeath that ran the rental program for NC years and years and years until they had a little kerfuffle, I think, over it. Faith is involved. He's got some stories about all of that sort of stuff. And now, obviously, the latest version of XDeath, which is Fire, is fulfilling exactly that same role again. They're looking to go that kind of, oh, look, we've learned our lesson, NC. We'll go back to being your rental landlord manager things.
Right, and the passive income didn't and still doesn't drive any conflict there because the people managing the income do what they're told, and the people receiving the income basically don't give a crap as long as they get paid.
Well, fundamentally, it is an extortion model, because it says either you give us money, we'll come down and we'll take it all. And you go, okay, well, we'll give you some.
Right, and Soft, the issue of what happens when they don't, well, that doesn't come up unless somebody else who is significantly larger decides to interfere with their stuff.
Or someone starts skimming off the top.
Right, but again, that's the exception. It's like any other business it's like any other business enterprise. Crime is not the majority activity. You don't have internal corruption as the majority activity. When you do, it falls apart.
And yes, there might be cases, and yes, there might be conflict, but
it doesn't.
It would typically be a NC brings the supers down.
Right.
Sorry, no. I mean horrendous. NC brings the supers down, wipes out the local group, and puts someone else in 2 days.
Exactly. Which is exactly what is happening right now. So tell me, what is different now?
It takes 3 days to move across the map instead of 1.
Right. What's different now is the lack of passive income. in the Moon situation. As
I
far
don't
as
know,
rental
renting
situation goes, as far
is-
as the rental situation goes, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all.
I think that's kind of like one thing that we should kind of get across here fundamentally for the audience as well. Personally, I think that people in space is by far the best use of space. Put people in space. Don't rent it. Don't do any of that nonsense.
Well, unless it's Scalding Pass or Kobodatch, because no one wants to live there.
Wow.
Just delete those regions.
Once the Gate to Stain is done, those might be a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, right.
A little bit. I'm not saying they're going to be,
So kind of
in
getting
demand.
back onto the history side of things. So we'd set up down in Delve, and we'd actually kind of, believe it or not, in January 2017, I think it was, CO2 actually declared war on us. But it didn't amount to much. I think they popped over with some bombers for a week, and then they ended up getting embroiled in the triumvirate drama along with FCON and all of the CPA, Captain Patrick Archer, who had his alliance keys held by NC.
I'm sorry, but you mispronounced FCON there.
What? Falcon?
FCON.
Yeah, with their greatest sea sour Nami.
Well, it's sort of like it's quite interesting, that kind of like dynamic. Anyway, so we're kind of like going on with like history, and it's like we have the Delve Miracle, and I think that we can all safely say here that the Delve Miracle was all to do with Delve. It was nothing to do with a period basis, nothing to do with Fountain, nothing to do with Quirius. Those 3 other regions were probably regions we owned because we kind of had to, and we didn't really want them.
I mean, hell, we didn't even have period basis for most of the time until what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah. And there again, it was like, it was basically our raid guides down there, and we didn't want to know or have anything to do with it.
We didn't have Fountain. We didn't have Fountain until we bought it from the Culture when they folded.
And we got a good deal on that simply to do with the fact that they were folding and they didn't really like Nexus.
So we could use a very Caleb term of we were failing upwards.
I don't even think we were
That's
failing
been
upward.
true since 2006.
I really don't even think we were failing upward. The whole thing with the Delve Miracle is that it was no miracle at all. It was a lot of hard work that people put in. They got out there, they did the work. I mean, everybody wants to be all pissy about, oh, look, you guys are dropping supers on everything and you've got all this infrastructure. Yeah, because they got out there and they did the work.
But horrendous. According to them, we were so oppressive throughout the entire galaxy that nobody else could do what we did.
Yeah,
right.
Did you know that?
We were so oppressive
that, like,
we were so oppressive
definitely...
that Liberty Squad was able to keep NC and P-Horde on their side of the map from ratting and mining for 3 years, apparently.
And how can
Reavers took
and Reavers took
who was it who made CO2 move? Who was it who made test move? Who was that again?
Well, that would have been Pam Fan.
No, let's be completely honest. That would have been Gigix.
I mean,
he's the reason they had to move.
Content creator.
He felt for half a decade by that point that CO2 should have all of Tribute. Period. It didn't matter who else was there. It didn't matter what had just happened. He wanted all of Tribute. So he went and got pissy at Mercenary Co. And Mercenary Co. hit back and it escalated. It was all him. He's the reason they got kicked out of the North.
Test then followed them. When they got south, they had their falling out. Yeah. It's just fucking hilarious.
There's another little kind of like detail, because obviously everyone remembers the Judge, and obviously the Imperium is quite happy to shout quite loudly about its roles within all of that. But there's another bit that people tend to forget or skip over, which was the secret meeting that was held by Legacy members in which they threw CO2 out of Legacy, which I think was actually the catalyst for the judge going, do you know what? I've had enough of this now. I'm done with all of this.
Yeah, I think it was.
So in all reality, because I think this is worthwhile keeping note of as we kind of come up to more current history, I'm inclined to say that CO2 was actually killed by Tappy, and I think that the further evidence of that is once CO2 had their issues, and Mrs. Gigex went up north, I think, to kind of branch area, before they had a failed attempt at setting up their against darkness, and that was with the support of PH, and then CO2, the final corp, rolled into PH.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, by all means.
The only thing I would add is, as far as I'm aware, there was a bit more drama than that between Tappy and CO2, with CO2 wanting more space down south as well.
Not even that. I mean, when Legacy's Diplos cut a deal, Gigex basically said, "No, fuck that shit. We're going to war with these people anyway." I mean,
both sides
they
did
also did right before backstabbing us.
Yeah,
it's like it runs in the history because that's 3 times we've heard it now.
I mean, people keep talking about, oh well, CO2, they were really baller, they never turned down a fight. Yeah, they were basically your friend who likes to go to bars and gets into fights with the bouncers. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to go someplace and start a fight with people who want to fight, right? It's another if you're going to go and basically set out to get you and your buddies thrown out of the bar. Why the hell would you want to go to a bar with someone who's going to keep getting you thrown out of the bar? One of these times you're going to go in there without him, and the bouncer's just going to look at you and go, "No, get the hell out."
The thing that did it for me with CO2 was the point that they self-destructed a Mercurial fleet, which I think was a crime.
It self-destructed the Mercurial fleet because Gigex got caught and didn't want to have everybody else warp off without him.
Oh.
It was a crime. It was
That
truly
was such bullshit ego crap. Honestly.
Right, so kind of obviously some
like everything else Gigex did.
I'm
Now,
trying to think of a hand joke.
There's at least one thing he didn't do is probing.
yeah.
He was very hands off with that.
He didn't need a
There we
hand for
go.
that. He didn't need a hand for that.
Anywho,
think?
so sorry, Dawn.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's just going to kind of maybe bring things up so they're a little bit kind of closer to more recent times, which is still an incredibly long time ago, let me say. So leading up to kind of this war, I heard a little rumor, because obviously I wasn't playing at the time, that Legacy was actually approaching the Imperium to go to the drone lands to throw PamFam out of that space. Anything to that?
Yeah. Asher even said it way big.
Yeah, both sides have pretty much copped to that, but I don't know if whether or not that was in good faith or if Billy was just trying to get us to move out of position to defend ourselves.
Because that's one thing that I have heard about it, which was the Imperium was approached, but Piggles was also talking to many other alliances, and Piggles was a little bit more keen on the idea of, yes, let's move the Imperium out of position and then we can strike them.
Get us in a Keepstar fight with PL and switch midway through?
Pretty much. That kind of feel to it.
That wouldn't shock me.
Was that the guy in charge of the coalition that was literally had a mission a mission status of we want to kill the Goonswarm Federation, was a little bit, became a little bit annoyed about, working with Goonswarm. What's the chances?
Oh, ProGod's always been a little Vince fanboy.
Yeah, but it's like one of the funny
Yeah,
things.
but
Piggles is him
he-
having to call it the Casino War.
But also, like Pickles has been angry with us for a long time because he lost his alliance basically to us.
Oh please, he
Nelly,
lost Nelly Secunda because yes, while we did in fact hire Pandemic Legion to sit on their face for a while,
Was it his actions by any chance that caused that?
NC, not really. NC Dot put them in a position where they were exposed and then hung them out to dry and did not support them at all. That's what happened. Basically, PanFam fucked him over and then was willing to come and kill them. But it's our fault.
yes, always blame us.
Well, it's better than some of the other things that have been blamed more recently, but let's not worry about that too much at the moment. So, coming up to this war, and another thing that I'm finding really hard to kind of understand is all of the talk that was used to justify this war about the Imperium being too big, too powerful, and everything else.
That's
Well-
just what Brave tells themselves to feel better about being.
That
a
is
jackass.
partially true.
Yeah,
Seriously,
but it's
in the
the
fat
thing that I
years,
don't
right?
understand with this, though, Caleb, is
but-
the Legacy approached the Imperium first. So if it was with good intentions, their deal for us to go and install them in someone else's space, which I can understand why we said, yeah, we're not interested in that. Or, well, I think we didn't even respond at all. Yeah, that's
we
a
were
good
already
reason.
deployed in the other direction. I mean,
But it was not so much about direction. It's more the fact that there was a lot of groups that were starting to get a little bit scared of how the Imperium was ahead of everyone else, right? The Delve Miracle was a problem, and it's what the Eco team has tried to resolve and fix a little bit.
Yeah, but don't you think it was a problem that was realistically the Delve model to me, as Arendis like rightly alluded to, and everyone else here, it was a lot of hard work. It was min-maxing, and it was actually paying attention to the game. And
Can I
think
also
that's
add an
where
extra part
everyone
to
else
it?
played.
It was
Well,
also
everyone
not
was
hanging
not-
your allies out to dry when handing them extra
Yeah.
regions.
That's not the point. The point is that everyone else was not playing the game like the Imperium. They were not min-maxing to this degree.
okay.
So-
No, but Caleb, there's a
because
point
they
I want to
felt-
get here. Can I jump in and get to this point?
Go for it.
There were attempts within Legacy, Caleb.
I
Right.
know that. I'm not
I've
saying
said
that
this before. I was in Warped
You-
when we took Amencia, and when we were taking it, Test kept hanging us out to dry on objectives.
Well,
we
literally-
couldn't make
we
the
literally
progress
covered all of this
because
when
they
it was
kept hanging
happening.
us out.
But right, you were here. We covered
Yes.
this and we memed about it, and the fact is that we also covered when I think it was Darkness and up in the north when they were actually outperforming on bounty ratting. So it's not that other groups were not trying to play the game as effectively as the Imperium, but they were not even reaching half of it. Right. The fact that I think Dunk said this on a show that if it had gone on for another year or two, it would have been completely impossible to do anything effectively against the Imperium. And I think that's actually true.
Okay, but let me ask you something here, all right? So what? I mean,
Well,
don't
that's
take that as flippant. But like, if we look at Eve, right? If we look at Eve as, a PvP setup, all right? Why is it the group that is actually putting in the work is the one that should be punished?
Well, it's not so
What's
much
wrong?
punishment. It's the fact that
I'm
was
sorry. I'm sorry. The playstyle gets nerfed. The resources get nerfed. We get attacked by the rest of the game. Don't tell me there's not some punitive measure there.
well,
But my
true.
question here is, all right, why is it the group that's putting in the work is being punished rather than the guys who were too fucking lazy and too fucking arrogant to get out there and get their hands dirty and do the work being allowed to lose.
Well, it's okay. Let me put it like this. It's not that I don't agree with what you're saying, and I think the Eco team is trying to land the changes in a place where it does not actually take away that option of winning. But the problem was that it was infinitely scalable. It was actually CCP's fault.
Yeah,
and I think the Eco team has actually acknowledged that and said, yes, this was us messing up and implementing these things in a way too powerful way. So sure, you can then say, well, the punishment came around from the rest of the player base, and that's not fair. But CCP were not specifically targeting the Imperium.
Caleb, the CSM told the CSM, especially the CSM from the Imperium at that time, told CCP that this was how it was going to go down. He said, if you didn't change this, if you didn't change this, this, and this, then this is going to be the end result. And CCP was like, well, if it comes down to that, then we'll change stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the usual cop-off kind of sort of thing.
What Fozzie said was, well, we will see.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
Okay, the whole arrogance, the arrogance from from CCP in that period of, oh, you're wrong, or we're just going to do it anyways, and all of that stuff is exactly what led us to the problem where the game broke. And this is why when then basically all of the Imperium could point at it and say, look how broken it is. Then finally they woke up and decided to actually create an ecosystem team and dedicate some time to looking at numbers and actually crunching that into something meaningful and figuring out, okay, where is it broken? And then they owned it and said, okay, yeah, we broke it.
Okay, and I think that's kind of a relatively important bit there that Caleb touches upon, which was we didn't keep it a secret. Anyone could see what we were doing and how we were doing it.
Yeah, and that was full intent. That was full intent by other groups. Sorry, McLeod, you go.
Yeah, and you know the NCPL started to adopt it. They started to see, oh, you know, this has a lot of legs. This is a lot of reasons to do it, and they started to adopt it.
But do you feel that with these changes, because obviously, you know, and I'm skipping a whole bunch of stuff here, which is like the nonsense that the war is started out, because this is how I think the war started out. Is it seemed a really good idea for the Legacy to get themselves installed in probably the best space in the game, at least according to Villy, which has Delve as a second kind of place, possibly. So he wanted to move Legacy into the best space in the game. And it was a content war, and he was being relatively short-sighted about it, and he felt relatively confident that with the Imperium's help, he could like dislodge stuff. Now, whether or not everybody on Team Legacy had that same plan, I don't necessarily know.
I would say he was the only one with a plan, and everyone was blindly following.
No,
and I think
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
I think it was.
I mean, I do think literally any player in the game could and should ask why, you know, in the middle of massive systemic changes, a CSM member decided to start a war that would greatly advantage his alliance.
Hey, now let's have none of that sort of talk around here.
It's a reasonable question that anybody could ask.
Well, someone reasonable may ask it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's anybody reasonable here, though, except maybe Caleb.
I've said before, I think it's a mistake that we don't have a rule that says leaders of alliances that are actively leading their alliance should not be also able
Billy's
to have
not
a
a
CSM role.
leader, remember?
Hey, we're not allowed to talk about CSM.
Jones is
Billy's not officially
executor.
a leader. He's just, you know, in charge.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You've got something there that has been puzzling me completely. Who leads Pappy?
It's a clusterfuck.
It's a council of
But who even is on the council? Because I mean,
who leads?
The way that I see it, you've got Horus, who is leading the Winter Coalition. You've probably got some version or someone linked to UAX Death running fire. You've got William Pickles for Legacy, and Vincent Gobbins and Headliner for PamFam.
I'd take the fire lot out of there. I'd say it's everyone else. But yeah, I would.
Well, I think we've already established that fire is realistically nothing more than the rental wing of PamFam.
Well, I'd say test, but yeah, one way or another, they are following someone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like they will be beholden to someone.
I got to take off, guys. I'll catch you later.
Later, Andis. Thanks for coming.
But I mean, you saying this leadership, this ties into something else that I mentioned in staff only a minute ago that I wanted to talk about, and it ties into what you said earlier about how they named themselves the Money Badger Coalition in Casino War, and we kind of failed to properly name the war, which led to them getting their name out there, right? It's a complete reversal this time. They have failed on the basic idea of narrative. They didn't manage to hold a name to the war or their coalition, right? Their narrative is that weak that they can't even fucking name themselves.
Well, I would go further than that by actually saying that their narrative started off in a really good spot, really kind of like strong space. It was like Gurgoons, Hack Goons is easy sell. Everyone bought it. It was really easy. So why has it failed? Why has it failed now?
Well, when it comes to naming, the naming of the first war was actually perfect when Noisy did it and named it the Casino War, because that is what it was. It was about the casino money. It was what was feeding that whole machine. So that was the perfect name. The other two suggestions were horrible, and World War B is just boring, and it's boring now. This should be known as the Bandwagon War, if anything, or the Sloth War, which is more about how slow it is.
What?
But no, I'm getting to the point of, yes, their name stuck. And yes, I know CCP picked up on their name in the first war, right? Because, yeah, they kind of managed to build a successful narrative around it. And it stuck. And they did what they managed to do.
Well, they cried about the fact that the goon's name was Mimi, and then they also did the same when goons started actually using the Casino War, because Noisy's coining of it was perfect.
Sure, I don't disagree, Caleb.
It fitted the narrative, and it was actually correct.
I don't disagree, but my point is that they had that ability to dictate the narrative, to dictate the name.
Of course,
right?
They're the majority.
Yeah, but they're the majority this time, and they can't get it to stick.
Yeah, so what has gone wrong this time to actually come from such a kind of like a powerful narrative position when this war like started, but to now be in a state where, come on, it's like, let's be honest about it, Reddit isn't necessarily a safe space for Pappy anymore, and it should be.
we got the better propaganda songs.
Well,
that's
but it's also
clearly how we're winning.
But that's actually an important part, right? Because if you go back to the Casino Wars, there were some really good propagandists or voices out there narrating the war, right? They've completely lost that this time. The people that are now their spokespersons are really not doing a good job. They keep bumbling and stumbling on how to spin things and narrate things, and they have different goals, and it's almost like a tragedy, right? Because just go back to when, I think this was a TIS episode, when Willy was on and Dunk was on, and the whole snake thing and don't step on a snake was actually pushed out, right? Then Dunk actually doubled down on it really strategically, and he could have really spun that as an identity, a meme that could really be used for something, and really just completely lost his marbles, right? Because he didn't want that. His whole thing with what people name things, it's almost paranoia, and that is why they're so bad at the narration and propaganda. It's all over the place. I think Moomin, in one of his articles, gave all the different casus belli of Pappy, and none of them are agreeing. It's like they don't have a unified goal. It's just a joke.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting to, right? It's if they are a clusterfuck this time. I'm not going
Well,
to give them the name that we used to have, but you know.
I'm going to go and take the time to actually thank everyone over at Pappy that allowed the extermination thing to happen so early on in the war, and for them to then be quiet about it for months and let their members shout it in local as they are approaching 1DQ.
And only then start walking it back.
Yeah, is like, and that's all we need to do. We're goons. Yeah, it's like we're kind of very simple folk. We like simple things. Not being exterminated is something we can do really easily, and that's what we're prepared for. So that's what Pappy needs to overcome now. You need to, if you're going to exterminate, you need to come for us because we're all in.
I was about to say, that was their second fatal mistake there, right? Was walking it back.
Well, just to get into something that's related to this, and I think is quite interesting and important. It's something that relates to what Pickle said on his town hall. I think at the latter bit, right, where he was talking about how CCP is going to change the rules. I think when it comes to the extermination thing, I don't believe that Pappy realizes how bad that narrative is for them, right? Because you can go with the whole goons and goons are making the game bad and blah, blah, blah. And that's nice if you feel like you're oppressed. But if you make that a serious goal to get the goons out of the game, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you can say many things about goons, about how they are, well, quote unquote, griefing other players. But that's the whole point of an antagonist, right? That's what an enemy should do. But they're not disruptive and destructive to the game. On the contrary, they have been creating really, really good content for the game that is EVE Online for more than a decade. So if you want to disband and destroy a group like that, you are actually telling CCP, we're going to destroy your game. And sure, someone said, well, the game on the other side will be better. Well, it looks like you're going to try and do Serenity, and that's not good for CCP's wallet. So if I was CCP, I would definitely consider nerfing the ability of Pappy to actually reach that goal at least.
I have no idea about that, because all I know when it comes down to stuff is CCP do CCP things, and then basically we just have to deal with it in a typical abusive relationship format.
Well, I don't like that girl CCP attitude that much, because I do think that even though CCP stumbles and makes stupid mistakes and say things where it's completely foot in mouth stuff, I think they have consistently for almost 2 decades been creating a massively unique game. And the fact that the goons enjoy it so much just proves that point. So it's a weird love-hate relationship. Sure, when someone nerfs your stuff or removes your toys, you're going to cry about it, and then you get sent to your room. Whatever. The point is, for CCP as a game developer, losing goons and the Imperium and all the type of gameplay around that is catastrophic. It would completely kill their revenue stream. It would be less than half of what it is now.
Kind of weird then that a whole bunch of people that are basically signed up to exterminate another group from the game are allowed to run the CSMs.
Yeah,
that's very true.
It's borderline bullying.
Anywho, so we're going to stay on the war kind of bit, because there's still kind of more war stuff, I guess, really. I hope I'm not boring you, Eric, by the way. Excellent. Easy show for you, this one, yeah? Yeah, you.
We'll make Moomin a regular. He can fill 2 hours easily.
Sideways. I know that's why I need to kind of just shut up and get a move on. Can't miss the meat show. I'm looking forward to the meat show. I have no idea what sort of mittens we're going to get today.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be glorious regardless.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm waiting to see where his wrestling thing is going.
Eric, you're muted again.
Jeez. I got to figure out why that's happening.
Right, so back to the war, and we got everything like set in place, and we have Pappy, which has been formed with the intention of optionally exterminating the Imperium from the game. And I kind of personally feel that everyone in Pappy was completely on board with what Villy was proposing would happen, which was there would be a big battle or so approaching Delve, and all of Goons would move to Losec. And I genuinely think that they all bought into that as that was what was going to happen.
But it's just so filled with mismanagement of expectations and
Did you hear him
almost
trying to
all out.
manage expectations
Well,
now?
I'm just frustrated with this incessant lying, and of course someone will say, well, now I'm spinning for the Imperium. But if you go through the town hall that Pickles did, even Matterall was giggling at points. I know that he might try and moonwalk out of that and say, well, it was not because it was wrong. Well, it was because you knew it was wrong and silly. And when they keep trying to show themselves as this massive force that is perfectly capable of doing the job, except they don't seem to, right? The reason that they're even as far as they are now is only because of the scale of numbers and because of the way that structures are designed. So I don't see them being as powerful and as rich as they think they are. I'm almost more inclined to say that they're not even one-to-one when it comes of actual capabilities, so they won't win this thing. Where's those titans that they kept talking about? Is it what? Secret titans? Mystery titans? UFOs?
No. Caleb, we solved this the other week. I found Villy's comment, right, and we had a laugh. It was a Titan cache. They have the largest Titan cache in the game, which promptly fell apart after M2. When they went from a 300 Titan cache to, we only had 50.
And that's the problem. They only had, in my estimates, and I know I don't have eyes everywhere, and I don't have Villy's super spy network, but my finger math and napkin math told me that it was about a 1-to-1 with the actual Titan fleet size from the attackers and the defenders. Maybe with a slight slant of, I would say, maybe 10% more in Imperium hands. And every time I said this during the war, Villy was laughing at me and saying I was silly, right? And then MTAC2 happened. It's like, okay, show me on the dolly where your Titans are, please.
Oh, anyone can show you now. There's going to be a monument there, isn't there?
That's the dead Titans. I'm talking about all the stuff that's left. This comes back to the whole Butcher's Bill thing, and they can't afford it. They've proven this. The fact that they even got a bloody nose from M2 is like, okay, if that makes you this scared and this bleeding, you don't have the fucking power to do the Butcher's Bill. You can't pay. Give up. You don't have the ability to do 1DQ.
Well, do you think that this whole thing has like got to the point then? Because I mean, you know, let's be honest about this. That when I first kind of got back into game, it was around September last year. I kind of like went off to the staging for like the hostel staging, something like Care or something like that, and in no time at all, I'd actually gone off, set up all my stuff over in 1DQ, and also got some stuff over in NPC Delve. And that was all done easily by the end of October. Easily. And then I've just been waiting to defend really 1DQ. That's it.
Well, now Redline is trolling me. I've had this opinion since the start of the war, Redline. Go back and listen to every single interview I did with Villy. I have not changed my opinion at all, and most of this room will say that they even opposed some of my opinions, and I have not changed a single one.
Well, you say that. I really like that.
Very much remember you.
Hold on a second. It's like, because we need to get this one across. I really like the opinion that Caleb had, where he said we won the casino war.
That was just, well, after the fact. Lost it at the point and won after the fact.
Well, we lost a battle. Let's be honest about it.
Exactly.
Whoever said the casino war ended? I never did.
What the problem was that they didn't finish it. This is something that we also covered. Of course, this is now so long ago that many might actually not remember, but we covered this. We we interviewed the parties involved, and I think the Imperium higher up said if that had gone on for 2 to 3 weeks more, it would have been completely impossible to recuperate the way they did. And funny fact is that when we talked to the money people, they said that they only had money left to do that about 1 to 2 weeks more. So it's almost as if, why didn't you then just continue and finish it? Because it would have actually been almost impossible to win the casino war if those 2 weeks had continued.
So do you feel that we're kind of getting into a spot now? Because I mean, I feel that as I've like come back and I've like picked up on all the things that have been happening, I've watched what people have been doing, and I've been looking at Doclan and Zekiel and stuff like that. You can see how the map is moving and what people have been saying, and we covered everything over on in to make sure that we actually had the sources in place, that we quoted the leaders, and you know, we weren't kind of like making up stuff. We weren't taking something that was said once in an unofficial kind of sense, such as Fortress Fountain or Fountain Fortress, whatever, and them running with that as being like a key goal that apparently the Imperium now has. It's always about 1DQ. Is this whole war. Either you get 1DQ or you don't. If you don't take it, you lose. That's it.
I've said it on stream from the start, right? 1DQ, if you ever cared to look at the setup of the system, is literally designed to be a last stand system. You have to burn through shell upon shell upon shell of structures just to get to the main keepster.
Which is why
and then you've got to do that again.
But that's why I keep saying you cannot expect to win 1DQ and thus the entirety of Delve without a butcher's bill of at least 250 to 500 Titans on both sides. It's just not possible in my book. Well, maybe.
So who's willing to pay that price at the moment?
Goons are perfectly willing.
Have you listened to some of the words that Pickles, because he said he's trying to manage expectations now. They believe it's possible, but the funny part is they were talking about sell your old doctrine ships for money. Jeremy just brought up how, and he's trying to like spin it after he says it, right? That they brought Abaddon's down from some deployment way off yonder for insurance frauding, basically, / poking.
Which is nuts. I mean, it's
information gathering, but in reality, they were just trying to get rid of these Abaddons that were just collecting dust. Because
which is nuts, isn't it? Because I mean, I still have doctrine ships from the Casino War still up north because I just left them.
Guardians everywhere.
That's what I've got. I've got Dominic's down in the southeast somewhere. I've no idea where that is.
And it's just funny, this whole thing with the insurance scam numbers and stuff like that, because this is just another one of those examples where, in my opinion, Pappy does not understand math and they don't understand economy. Right? It's like, you do not cash out when it's still going up. It's like, why are you even considering this?
That's the point you're missing. They're not cashing out. They're just failing at narrative again.
But even if they were actually doing insurance scams, now is not the place to do it. You have to let the market finish and find its new legs. And this is again back to the difference between how Pappy does their napkin math and how Imperium does their math. The whole reason for the war bonds and quote unquote Pickles, if you need a little bit of a lecture on how bonds and funds and investments work, you're very welcome to DM me privately. The whole point of why you would do a bond when you have stockpiles and stockpiles of assets is because you do not want to cash in on assets that are going up in value. So you want the cash to actually make up for that. It's not because Imperium was poor, it was because they were assets rich. And anyone that really wants to fact check me can go back to way back when I did massive interviews with Aerith about these things. This is how it works. When you're doing investments, if you have liquid ISK, you're dumb, right? you do not want Liquidus because that does not appreciate in value. So you always want your portfolio to be in things that are actually supposed to go up in value. So the fact that the Imperium was cash poor just proves that they were doing the right thing.
Well, liquidity only gives you an option for mobility, doesn't it, realistically?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you want
yeah.
everything in like something where you can go, oh, that's going to go up.
Yeah, it's literally why it's called an active, because it's easy to actually work with, right? But it's still just a mode of payment. You do not have cash on hand. Well, some will say, well, you do your savings in cash. Well, that's usually because you get
So-
interest rate from your bank, because that money is then lent out to someone. But since we are nowhere near an eve where cash is worth anything anymore, then you can't do loans because no one wants to pay the interest. So liquid is the worst thing to have in your wallet.
Well, you speak of like loans there, and I mean, it's like we have had like the war bond stuff, and I think that's a relatively important thing to like worry about, because after some of those big battles, the large alliances did hit a problem with liquidity. Is like simple as that. The Imperium overcame theirs like really quickly. So those war bonds just went in no time at all, despite all the derision that Pappy leaders had given them. Now, I know that Tappy did theirs, and then they were supposedly going to be offered out to the rest of Legacy. Have you heard anything about that, Caleb, at all?
Well, the point is that from everything that I can tell about this is that the Imperium was really willing to buy into the bond and actually hand over their liquids to their organization. And the war bond from the Imperium almost filled in like a week or two completely. So what, 21 trillion, something like that. The point is that from what I was told, it was a little bit more problematic to get people to buy into the war bonds on the Pappy side, again, because there's a cultural difference. So instead of just acknowledging that loss, now they're spinning it into some sort of Ponzi scheme. That's really not the right word you're using there, Inigo Montoya. So a Ponzi is an investment fund. A bond is a default, and a sovereign bond, when they default, that's usually not even remotely equivalent to, say, a junk bond from a bank. These things are not the same.
I think then we also need to like be reminded as well that we're almost like 6 months into the war bonds that were issued by the Imperium, and there's not been one complaint about a war bond not being met. So this Ponzi scheme is going pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? It was a 1 year payback, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
so
let's not go into the details because there is a little bit of an issue with the way that these bonds have been actually created and designed. They're not proper bonds in that sense. So
no, but that's not my point, Caleb. I'm there like we're halfway through payback on them, right?
Well, again, what you would usually do when you do a bond like this is you leave enough to actually have for at least the first payments, right? So you take all that cash, you spend the stuff that you needed, which is what has been happening. I think what I have been told is that about 50% of the liquidity in the Imperium War Bond has actually been spent now. And I think that they are locking down at least 25% of the entire value for payments. And that leaves about 25% left. So there's something in the realm of like 5 trillion left. And again, if you look at the destruction numbers and the fact that crabbing is still possible, at least on alts, this is a nonsense war. It's not meaningful. And anyone will say, well, but I'm hurting. Yes, your wallet, my friend, is maybe hurting. But from an organizational level, this is a non-war.
Well, and that's kind of my point. It's like with the Imperium still offering 100% SRP for SRP claims to be processed before people have actually even appeared in their pod in some instances. Thank you very much to the reimbursement team, by the way, over on the Imperium. The Imperium doesn't have that kind of same kind of issue, it seems, to what Pappy has. Is that a kind of fair thing to say?
Well, I'm just thinking of how Pappy got tested about 5 trillion in their war bonds. They didn't take any more because they didn't want to put themselves in a situation where they couldn't pay it back, right? They've already spent half of that. I mean, obviously mixed across the groups, but they spent half of that in a month-long siege that has gone nowhere and done nothing but ruined their numbers, and they're going lower and lower. Their EU guys are raring to go, but we won't. We're being devilish, and we won't let them have fun.
Dawn, you're failing to see their strategy here. They are clearly draining Delve from bombs.
So, and this war though is like, I mean, the casino war. There were times when I was in Saren and thinking, it's like, we are so screwed. It's like we are never coming back from it. But this war has just been like a series of some of the funniest things said that have aged so badly. It has just been amazing. So
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah, does anyone have any favourites here? It's like my favourite so far has to be pre-staged.
Well,
What,
the funny thing
areas
about
of
what
war?
you said there is the fact that the casino war was an existential war, right? It was an existential threat. There was an actual risk that, well, maybe not complete disbanding of the Imperium, but at least such a painful wound that it would basically put goons down to, well, below top 10 in the organizations, right? That is a massive loss, right? This one is not even close. Nothing is happening. No morale is being challenged or nudged or hurt. Everyone is just going, lol, what?
I think it's almost as if when we were chased out of the north during the casino war and came south, and then everyone said kind of mean-spirited things about us only crabbing and being risk-averse and a whole bunch of other stuff for years and years and years, and then to kind of like sit down in Delve and hunt us as much as possible for years and years and years. It's almost as if all of that kind of chatter that was happening in the rest of New Eden was them basically huffing their own farts, really. Yeah,
Completely. You just did
I
a
mean-
nice little nod at the new gas changes there.
Thank you.
Don't get
I
me
do
wrong.
know a bit about Indy.
Damn it. Don't get me wrong. There has been moments in this war where stuff has got said, and I've kind of questioned. And I've been there like, can we do this? And then they do something tremendously stupid. And I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, we can.
Can we just
Like,
talk
it lasts for about 12 hours.
I think we should talk about something really that made me angry. The way they talk about the Imperium's FCs really makes me mad.
Wait, what FCs?
Yeah,
Well,
we only
exactly
have
that.
to.
OPSEC, no blue intel.
No, but seriously, Moomin, that is such mismanagement of expectations of.
Yeah,
of
but don't
their
you think
members,
that? Yeah, and you're absolutely right there. To actually say to the Pappy Line members, yeah, the goons have got no good FCs, they're all completely terrible or burnt out or this, that, and the other, and then to go and face the Imperium and outnumber them and still lose your fleet.
Consistently.
What the hell?
See, it's
fucking
like
hilarious.
the thing is, they clearly haven't been listening to our FC classes, because when we train our FCs, we tell them it doesn't matter how shit you think your opponent is, you still fight them 100%, right? You don't hold back. It doesn't matter if you think they are the worst FC in the game, right?
But seriously, okay, the one with the Bomber FC was hilarious because it was just before they actually got completely bombed in the face, right? So it's like, okay, so no Bomber FCs except what was that just happened, right? The same
Well, it
with
was
the whole.
goons have no good bomber FCs. Oh wait, we just lost a fleet of them.
Well, and one of the first, in my opinion, big stories from this fight was when they got bombed in the face. It's like, why are you saying these things? Is it some sort of weird double speak? Is it some Orwellian 1984 stuff? What are you doing? Because you're not making sense. You are basically setting your members up to failure when they then feel the reality of what they're actually getting from the opposition.
And that obviously sets up like, you know, a massive kind of like problem for like Pappy's side of stuff, which is leadership saying one thing, line members like, you know, observing something significantly different. And I think that that's been really kind of like consistent throughout this war. I've done a few wars, not as many as like some, but I've done enough to know that what came against the Imperium initially should have just, like, it would have been bloody, would have been terrible completely, but they should have done this war in 3 months.
But it's the same with the narrative that they had since the beginning of the war, that goons are poor. It's like, are you drunk? What are you even talking about? The fact that you can even keep saying that means that you are literally lying to your members. If they believe you, they are really, really gullible.
And just a little shout out to anyone from the Pappy side that happens to watch me when I kind of chat in local. If you do chat with me, and obviously you repeat the things that your leaders say and all of those good things, that actually helps me. I'm just going to like say this like straight out, because there's people on your side that are watching this and like going, they're all like crazy for starters, but at least Moomin's not lying.
And that's the tragedy, really, right? That the level of well, some say it's disillusion or delusional attitude, but the way that they keep lying, and the Imperium people keep, of course, doing veiled and obfuscating truth, but they're basically feeding you truth, and you don't believe them. It's like the fact that these people drink the Kool-Aid this hard is tragic. And again, yes, I'm an Imperium shill a little bit and a cheerleader, but that's because I'm a fan of the way that they've been doing things, especially since the Casino War. The fact that they could survive that, and the way that they have done the Cultural Revolution and cleaned up their house to a point where the best and most fun place to be socially is definitely the Imperium. Well, why are you still going Goons? It's like everything you believe in is a lie.
And that's kind of like, you know, quite powerful stuff. And I will be like perfectly honest. Yes, I am the Imperium. I am a goon. I am a very like proud goon. Well, proud of goons. And I will support our side completely. But this war has just been so easy for me, because all I've had to do is just be honest, and that's it. Just hold a mirror up to you and your leaders, Pappy, and yeah.
Can you imagine if they had actually been organized and actually was managing their narratives and propaganda and their actual members? That would have been scary.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, yeah, it should have been scary. Literally, when I came back to the game, I was expecting to be in NPC space well before Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it on here before, right? Where start of the war, they should have just charged 1 DQ before we got any kind of real response going.
At least they shouldn't have been that scared about the rest of Delve being some sort of staging platform, because you want the fights, right? You want the fact that if you are really so superior in manpower and wealth, that should not have been a problem for you. You just had to be better at the fighting. And well, apparently, the Imperium doesn't have good FC, so why are you so afraid?
Well, this was all about power as well. So unless you can actually materially change that balance of power, well, you haven't changed anything, have you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know where I kind of got a little bit, I don't know, happy was when suddenly Killer Bee disappeared.
Yeah, because he fucking checked out.
Yep, and you know why? Because the rest of the group in the Sky Marshal team was being dumb, and he was being very... I don't know exactly the details behind the scenes, of course, because I didn't have ears on comms, but I am strongly suspecting that they threw him under a bus, and he just went, fuck you guys, I am not going to be part of this shit show. And when he left, I basically said, okay, that's the biggest loss on Pappy's side ever, because at least he could have done something strategically meaningful.
So, talking as strategically meaningful and all of that sort of stuff, how does everyone think about Blarpies nowadays, which are obviously a creation of Tappy from the Tappy theory crafting mind that is obviously set to destroy 1D?
Hold it. I need to correct you there, Moomin. Okay? It's not the Tappy theory crafting minds. It is some of the greatest theory crafting minds in the game today, as I believe they're referenced on the other side. Is that not correct?
Well, it's hard to tell. It's like,
That is
because they all know
apparently
so much.
correct.
That's what they think. How'd that work out for him?
We're wrecking Brisk's meta show. We're nicking all the quotes he's trying to get set up.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to
Always the case.
I'm just going to put it right out there. Okay, I know that Ken from PL, who is running for CSM again, just so you all know, he can crank out 1,000 harpies in 4 days or so. So I think he might be selling some harpies.
And again, just to go back to my problem with Pappy is that yes, they have some really talented guys in there. They also have really good numbers and all of that. It just, to me, it feels like, you know, when if you have a board meeting with all the different roles, that they're all in the wrong chairs.
Well, I wouldn't say that, right? I'd say it goes back to my comment earlier about their failure of narrative with the naming and everything else, I guess. Because they, instead of making it realistic narrative that people can latch onto, they go so far damn overblown and absurd that we end up sitting here laughing at comments that don't age well.
Yeah, and for me, this is why this war is like some of the funniest stuff going. Is some of the stuff that has been said over the last 12 months has just been amazingly good.
You know,
And being a goon and just watching it has just been brilliant.
What I found hilarious is seriously, putting out track after track, right? He pretty much drops a banger every week. And there was some guy on the Poppy side who did, I think it was 1 or 2 songs. And all
You mean the
sudden,
ninja rapper?
Oh my god, no, not that one. That was so terrible.
No. I mean the other guy who actually put some effort into it, right? I mean, the one track I listened to was actually pretty good. But he put down like 1 or 2 songs, right? And all of a sudden, you have all of the gaming news sites running this like it's a battle of the bards, right? When in reality, like, Seriously has been doing this for a long time and keeps doing it, and this Poppy guy just, ran out of fuel.
Well, if it was a battle of the bards, right, there would be no battle with Mind One and Seriously on the Imperium side. There's it's not a fight.
Hold on,
because
Big Bill the Bars. Thank you very much.
The thing is, Seriously is doing his music the Imperium way, and that means he's not doing it alone, right? He has people in the background who are writing lyrics, who are coming up with ideas, who are helping him out with like vocals, and tuning and all that kind of stuff, right? He's the guy in the front. He's the one producing it, but he's not doing it alone. And that's the thing about Imperium. We have organizations for everything, and there is someone somewhere to help you out with anything in the Imperium.
Yeah, there's a culture of never doing anything alone, right? That's
and
the
you know
whole
what
point.
as well, though? We also credit people when they help.
Outrageous. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't take the credit for the work that other people's do. Hi, Pickles. So I'm really interested, though. Predictions for how this war goes in the future. Any ideas?
Yeah, there's going to be 1 or 2 of the groups that will eventually moonwalk out of the Pappy Coalition at some point, because well, this is just not feeding any of their entertainment levels.
Yeah,
Sure,
do you think things are in a bit too deep at the moment, though? To be honest with you, Caleb, it's like, will withdrawing at this point be too painful?
Well, it's really about I think I said this on another show. It's like you know, when you have those lineups and the boss asks one to step forward, and instead everyone else steps back and then leaves one guy hanging. I think that one guy is going to be Test.
Come on, Sky Marshal Dawn, you must have an opinion.
What?
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to get up.
Phased out?
Something. No, I had to get up and get something. What?
Oh, I was asking about war predictions. So, what do you think are the war predictions for the rest of this war at all?
I think I think if Monday if they don't get a good thing Monday, then I predict that numbers are just going to keep dropping on their side, especially if we refuse to give Euros any action and fun. They're going to have to come up with a new tactic. And it seems like right now, Villy and Piggles are back in the saddle on how things are going to work. And we know how well that went, right? And then Gobbins took over for like 2 months. And I think that they've given Villy and Piggles the reins again, and it's not going well.
And you're kind of like, you're going, Monday something has to give, or otherwise there will be possible problems?
I think that if nothing happens Monday the way that they want, that they're going to have a hard time spinning it to their members that 1DQ is crackable if they can't even crack 3 Tech D. And the difference, and a lot of people on the Pappy side don't seem to understand the difference between 3 Tech D and 1DQ and the rest of Delve. So when the rest of Delve, you could black out Sino or get Sinos behind us and try to trap us in. Some places are pipes, some places are dead ends. Some places have too many routes where it's just impossible to hold people out. But there's no good way to get anybody back into 1DQ because you're now at 1DQ. Like, you're just, there's 2 ends. There are 2 places to come in with your full fleets. You can't Sino in behind us. You can't come in through different regions and sectors. There's no play. It's a brick wall. You have to force your way through 1DQ or the 3 Tech D side, or which would be NTech 8 if all else fails.
Well,
right?
The only other way, and I've mentioned it here before,
is wormholes, but
well, not just wormholes. Block Sino with stealth bombers to maybe try and take down some jammers and jump in behind.
Yeah, but that's a quick jacked off fleet of 50.
Yeah.
They've got 150 bombers, no problem.
Exactly right. Like, you would have to be quick as hell.
It could be done, but with the damage cap on Sino jammers, which isn't super high, but it's still there, you can't just like instantly take one out in 10 minutes while all of us are fighting. We still have like a 20-minute timer on just at least one of them, right? So that gives us a couple minutes to get somebody together to go over there.
There would have to be some coordinated kind of Moon and Fleet through 3D, Moon and Fleet through 1DQ, blocks into whatever it is at the end of the pipe behind 1DQ, take that down. Once that's down, because everyone's distracted on that, you jump in that side and you gate in that way with everything else.
Yeah. Those are the only options that right now, unless you don't want to... And I just love that they're now at a point where we're the ones who are saying, jump in your capitals. Why don't you just bring your capitals under a hostile jammer? It's completely fine, right? That's the other play they have, is to just take down the jammers in 3 Tech D. But as they're finding, and the reason why we didn't do this beyond the 1 with M2, is it takes so much commitment on both sides, but it takes so much to bring down the jammers. And even then, now you've got to try and ping people to get things set up and ready to go. And in the meantime, Imperium is still forcing people away. So you have to have those capitals ready to go. You basically have to be ready for a fight. Because if you jump in your capital forces off of our Keepstar, let's just bring in some Titans, and if we engage, great. If we don't, it's no big loss on us, right? Okay, they go for the iHub then at that point, right? They throw capitals down the iHub. Well, we already have our capitals usually on the iHub.
Do you mean we're pre-staged?
Yeah. So we'll usually, if we know they're going for the iHub, we'll usually already have our supers or carriers or both sitting on the iHub. We have been willing to warp them around system. So if they get the jammers down and then they decide to jump in, are they going to jump in with their Titans? Maybe. But now their Titans are open in free space, and we already have, supers. They're going to have to either jump their supers and Titans on our fort, and then our subcaps can still fight it out over there, or they'll have to jump on the iHub. But then our supers are safe and dandy and can just start killing whatever they can until things get too close, and then we just tether up, right?
Then they can't even win an iHub timer anyway, Dom.
Right.
Not just because they can't get shit through to win one, but they actually have a very hard time reinforcing an iHub, given its reinforcement timer and what 10% tie-dye does. They're screwed.
But this is back to what happened when they tried to drop their Keepstar, right? It's the whole attitude of the strategy. If they had went, okay, we're just going to drop 3 all at once, then that whole thing would have been done. Because there's no way you can stop 3, right? You can maybe stop 2 if you're lucky.
I don't know. I typically would agree with you, but I don't know if they would have been spreading stuff out too much to defend them all successfully, and we'd have just got them all.
If they had dropped them and staggered them in the right way strategically, they would have dropped them the first day, right? That's my point. And it's the same with this. If they want to actually have success in this strategy, they need to put a little bit of a bigger blinds on the table, because this small blind stuff and slow boating, yes, it's strategically the correct thing to do, but it also makes it really, really boring and strenuous to succeed.
Do you think they're going to just drop like 10 Asbels and hope for the best at one point? When do you think they're going to throw that play out there?
Well, why wouldn't you do that? That might actually work.
I'm surprised. I mean, P-Horde put 40 down, and we put 150 down one time for fun.
Realistically, their best option is to put them down in separate systems.
Okay, so I'm still going to run
and then max the tie-dye on them.
Up until the point that we've got to Pappy in 1DQ on the final Keepstar, on the final timer. All of this is just theatre, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So everything that you're kind of speaking about until they can actually get in and take down 1DQ. We're on the 6th week of a siege in which nothing has happened from the Pappy forces, aside from they've made a number of predictions and said a number of things that have become woefully inaccurate really, really quickly.
Yeah. And it doesn't even look like anything's going to happen anytime soon, which is the even worse thing. Because as Dawn said earlier, right, if nothing happens Monday, I think they're going to burn out a bit. Numbers will go down. We're already seeing fuck off up north to take, where is it? Pureblind? And now Horde are going up to help them. You know what Monday is? If Monday fucks up, Horde is just going to commit full-time up there.
So, predictions then is, I see it's 1DQ will stand. That's my prediction.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet.
they might get further into the constellation. We might get to a Keepstar fight in 1DQ. But
do you think we'll have the Apex battle?
I don't think they want to commit to it. But if they
Apex battle was phase 4,
they lose.
No, I saw the plan. I saw the plan. Phase 4 was big battle, and then all of October and November last year there was talk of things like an Apex battle. So I'm still waiting for the big battle.
Yeah, but Movement If
They've
you're
already
looking
said they don't
for
want to
big
give us a
fight,
battle.
You'd be disappointed.
Yeah, like remember, so Gobbin said it 5 weeks ago, and Piggles just said it over the weekend. We don't want to give goons battles because they somehow win them every time.
So this war for content, they're going to win by not having content.
No, right now they're trying to save face because they've put themselves in an embarrassing situation of trying to get like in there and they can't find their way.
I know that feeling.
I figured some people
Wow.
might. That was on purpose. 100.
We're just gonna let that go.
Yeah, I think if they commit, they don't realize what they're going to lose.
They're
Or
also
maybe
afraid
maybe
that-
they have realized what they lose if they commit, and that's why they won't commit.
They're also afraid that if they go for a big fight and they lose, and then we'll just start going. We are biding our time. We're waiting. We've already said that if all shit hits the fan and everything goes to asset safety, we have a plan. We'll take
Well,
care of
I'm
it.
just going to put this
Not the
right
end of
out
the
there
world.
now. On Tuesday, Dawn,
Uh-huh.
either you're going to be eating some humble pie or you're going to be very, very smug.
It's all about smug.
Are we specifically talking
Isn't
about
that the
Monday
case
here?
each week?
I just
Oh,
want to
that was
ask.
the funny part. Go ahead.
Are we
I-
specifically talking about Monday?
Yes, this coming Monday.
Because this coming
'cause-
Monday, this coming Monday, Pandemic will also have a strategic iHub timer coming out as well in the
Oh,
north.
is that one that's
or
going to
in
be
the
about
northeast.
50 jumps away? Is it?
Mhm.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, that's a shame,
it's,
isn't
it's awfully as though Init are doing what they said they were going to do and what the entire plan has been this entire time.
I just
I
want
know,
to put this
right?
out there for all the Imperium allies, and I don't really see you as like allies necessarily. If you're on the
I'd like
side
not
of
to
the
ally.
Imperium, you are a goon, and I thank you for your service and for entertaining me all, as much as you all have over the last year.
I'm just trying to decipher this. So
Probably.
are we basically going to the fact that, Pappy, Legacy, all those, they just have commitment issues? Is that where we're at?
They
They
got
have
their dick
performance
slapped.
issues.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
got
have
their dick
both
slapped.
commitment
so they're
and
scared.
performance issues.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, let's benefit the doubt here. They could have a huge form up, have 2 to 3 times their numbers on Monday, and they could get some Asbels down.
In
They
free
have
tactic,
Yeah.
issues.
in
Maybe
free tactic, that doesn't matter.
I know
Sorry,
it
No,
doesn't
I
matter,
want
but
them
it is.
to.
It'll make
Is
them
it-
feel better.
Is it bad that I say I want them to? I want them
Yes.
to get onto the 1DQ Keepstar.
No, I want them to go away and go home, please. Be
No,
gone.
I want
have
that
things
fight,
to do.
Dawn,
Oh, we
because
could
I
have-
know
No, Bard, we're
I
gonna have
know
that
what the
fight.
feeling on our side is, and I know that we will ride our fucking ships into the ground until they have nothing.
Bard, we're gonna have that
But
fight.
good
on
things
their
come to those who
Keepstars.
wait, and we'll have waited for so long that it will be so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Bard, I look forward to the day when I'm sitting on a test Keepstar at 0 in my Aeon, tackling their Titans, while
No.
our Titans just obliterate them out of the
Dawn,
sky.
you missed the point. You know what the better day is? The day they're on our Keepstar losing their Titans, and then they have no Titan fleet left to defend their
I've done
Keepstars.
that once. They're never gonna NC in them, and you know what? NC might throw down, but Test is not going to be willing to take that big of a hit again. Brave can't. They have like 2 supers left, and any supers that they do have are typically ratting, of which we've murdered. Once again, Quarius and Delve are safe to rat and mine, guys. Oh, that was funny. A couple weeks ago, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Billy's like, "Oh yeah, we're ratting and mining, and Delve, no problem." And I'm looking around like, your ADMs are shit. You have 6 systems above 7 or at 6.0, and he's like, "No, it's way more than that." So I looked. I was like, "Okay, let me count." Oh, sorry, 7. You're right. I was 1 off.
I'm just
Everything
throw-
else is 2s and 3s. So suck
me
a
just-
fat
So
dick.
you know what the funniest
Let me
thing
just
about
throw
Dawn
in the warning here, right? Don't get cocky, kid, because they do have a strategy and an idea of how they want to do 1DQ. And if they start actually succeeding in that, even though I still think it's a horrible bet to make, but if they start succeeding, the moral boost can be considerable. and you do not want that moral boost suddenly happening because
Moral or morale?
Morale.
Thank you.
Sorry. If suddenly you get a good win for Pappy and a success criteria for actually taking 1 DQ, that could be very, very bad for the Imperium.
I don't disagree, and yes, there are outcomes that this could happen in, but with what I've seen of the structure of 1DQ on the Keepstar grid, they are going to bleed just to get to the Keepstar.
Unless they work their way through it, which because let's say you get a structure.
That's what I mean. Though,
somehow.
they have to break through the shell around it to be able to put a structure down in fighter range.
Mm-hmm.
To
Well,
attack
fighters
the
have a
Keepstar.
range of 5K, so
Yeah. Have you seen
So
how big
let's-
the structure shell is?
yeah, it's 3K, so you can get out there. But let's say they get an Asbeller fort. Let's just go magic here, all right? Magic. Here we are. They've got a fort, 1,000 off of the one of the forts on the left side, right? If they want to burn in, they got to go through, on average, 3 forts and probably at least one of the Sotios. And probably another fort above, maybe one below might be in range too. There's at least 5 or 6 different forts that can launch bombs, kind of force them around the grid to move around, can deploy fighters and shoot other fighters with their fighters. So there's just, you've got all these things to deal with on top of bubble projection, nuke projection from the forts, as well as the supers and titans on the Keepstar. And then we got 2 Keepstars on the back. Actually, we set it up so I don't think you can anchor a structure within 1,000 kilometers of the Imperial Palace.
No. And
Unless
that's
you
my
get a
point.
really
John.
weird side angle.
They have to break through the shell of structures to put a Keepstar close enough and be safe.
Is it
Right.
possible? Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be easy.
But that's why I'm saying to Caleb,
Just a little
the
shout
moral
out.
win.
Just a
They
little
have
shout
to-
out to my boy Querns, who was the original guy to place that jammer there and all that sort of stuff.
So-
Legend.
Yeah,
Well,
folks, we are 1 minute over. And there's a question out there when the meta show is. The meta show is in 1 hour, 59 minutes right now, 58 now. So we have gone for 2 hours. So let's wrap.
I do have a quick question before we wrap.
No.
Should I get-
You go
should I
around.
get
Everybody gets their
sushi?
thing.
Okay.
You go first, Don.
I was gonna ask, should I get sushi or something else for lunch /
Something else.
I love
It-
sushi. though.
It's post
Well,
lunchtime,
it's-
even in
it's
Central
like-
Time.
Ask you
I
a
had
question,
lunch.
are you? If you've already made up your mind, Dawn, you've already made up your mind.
No,
haven't you?
there's
You're having
something
sushi
else.
then. End of discussion.
Okay.
You should get a big vat of blue
I'm glad
crabs
I'm glad we
because
got that sorted
yeah.
out.
you should get a bunch of blue crabs cooked in Old Bay. That's what
Yeah.
you need. It'd be yummy.
I mean, that's probably good, honestly, but
It is yummy.
we're gonna do the Starlight brunch this year again, right?
Oh,
I didn't get to do it last year because I had to leave early that morning.
absolutely.
All right, we'll get a reservation.
Chicken
All right,
fried rice. No.
So let's start with Bard, I guess.
All right, call it out. Don's in charge, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know what to say. I mean, thanks for having Moomin on, right? Yeah, that's given me the ability to bring up a couple of things I wanted to and not have to completely derail conversations.
Yay.
Bring on fucking 1DQ. Realistically, that's what I want to see.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, I'm going to kind of chime in on the same note because the way I see things, if Pappy really wants to win, I think they need to get their head out of this slow mode thing because even though that works on paper, I don't actually think it's going to work because people want to see progress, right? I know that the Butcher's Bill is going to be horrible, but if you really want that win, you have to do the calculations and then say, okay, this is how expensive it's going to be. There is no secret Trojan horse that will magically get you past the gates. There's no one inside that's going to open it for you in some weird betrayal thing. it's gonna be bloody, and if you want to win, commit and take it, right? Because I do think that there is a win condition for them, but if they don't want to pay that, let's stop this war, because it's getting to the point where it's almost silly.
All right. Who's next? I thought, Don, you were in charge.
Well, it would normally be Eric. Well, it'd be me, and I already talked about lunch, so then it'd be Eric.
Then it's Moomin. Moomin's up.
Okay.
I'm always last.
I'd just like to say thank you very much for letting me come onto the show and to just like talk nonsense really for a little bit. I would have loved to have talked more about the history. I'd love to talk about history one day with Grath. That would be great.
We'll do that as a post-mortem moment. When the war is over, we'll invite Grath and you can
Yeah,
talk
that
for
would be
hours.
good fun. No, I'd like to do that.
Awesome. Soft, are you awake?
It's sloth
Lumen
Sloth.
just reminded me. Do you guys remember those AT ads that PL ran with Grath Token?
They
I
were
love those.
amazing.
Now introducing the Grath Token. I always wanted to do some more of those, and considering Grath is now in Goons, I might.
Well, so is Sword Dragon, right? I think Moomin is like getting a reality check. He doesn't even understand what's happening. Grath is in the Imperium and Sword Dragon is in the Imperium. It's like completely weird world.
So is Elo Knight. Do you know
Yeah,
how
it's like my
Elo's-
world has turned upside down.
Elo's hilarious.
I mean, I
He
remember
said
the day
that songs to me.
when every week we would have a brawl with Elo Knight, and he would always lose horribly, right? And now I'm sitting in command prompts with him all the time. That's kind of weird.
You love
The
it.
You play E, the smaller it gets.
There you go. The Cloud?
Loud.
I mean, I can't not give a shout out to Brisk and being the first person, as far as I know, the first person in Eve history and in the Eve subcategory on Twitch to stream a hot tub or a sort of a stream. That was fantastic. I massive respect to him. So that's my shout out for today.
My thing is, I just want those water rings autographed by Brisk when this is over. I would mount them on the wall behind me and let everybody see them. So there you go.
He should sell them all of these things on auction. I have dibs on the flamingo then.
Oh yeah. That's the floating flamingo drink holder, right? I think it was. I have to look at that a little closer.
Amazing.
We used to have those.
Are you sure? Just not his toe.
No, there's a flamingo.
Are you mocking
No,
the man for an addiction he has?
No, it was a flamingo drink holder that
Yeah.
floats. He doesn't
Isn't-
have like one random talon.
Isn't there something about your second toe being longer than your big toe thing? I don't know. We'll look into that. All right, everybody.
That's how my toes are.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being here every week and listening to us drone on forever and ever and ever. And thank you to Moomin for coming. And you're always welcome, and the whole crew. And the rest of you in America, have a nice long weekend here in America. And Meta Show is in about 42 minutes or so. Or 52 minutes, sorry. So we'll see you all then. Everybody, take care. Everybody say bye. And wave. And wave.
Bye.
Everybody wave, because you're all on video, right? Wave.
Wait, I'm on video?
Yeah, no. We'll see you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks.